Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. You may recall from a couple of weeks ago, we checked out a song called Side A from a group called GIANTSKY. If you're not familiar with that, there's the link. Go check it out. It was a fantastic track. Come to find out though, there's two Side A's on GIANTSKY. Both of their albums that are out consist of a side A and a side B, although I believe GIANTSKY 2 also consists of a side C and D. It's a double album. Regardless, I did the side A of the second album, and that's not what was requested. So, we're going to check out side A of their first album today. The comment on this is the same as last time since it was originally intended for this song. Prog rock from Norway with an interesting mixture of acoustic and electronic elements. So let's dive into this. I have a bit of an understanding of at least who they became, the album that they released after this and how they decided to kick that album off. Let's dive into this one though. It's quite a bit longer at 23 minutes. I think the other one was 17 or something like that. But I'm looking forward to this. I enjoyed the beginning of the last album. Let's look at this first one. So we have a reversed element, backmasked. Is all of it reversed?
To believe in what I have seen.
Very psychedelic with that reverb on the vocals. A little bit of movement on the background instrumentation as well.
Every step they take, every move we make, it's so real.
Gorgeous harmonies. I like the little bouncing on the edges out here, very light, like raindrop hitting the grounds. Okay. I really like the percussion. we still have this really chill atmosphere on this one. It's still exploring a lot of the synth work, which I'm pretty sure this lead instrument is, but a lot of the bouncing, shimmering ideas are. We do have a guitar that's arpeggiating. The drums are very crisp though. A lot of clarity to the drum production. Helps it stand out a little bit amongst all the other harmonic and melodic layers. Ooh. They're gonna do it again. There is a heavy reverb on the synth. It sort of bounced around. A lot of more ethereal sounds, lacking direct presence, and sort of just feeling the sound. It just exists. I don't know where it came from, but it's here now. The descending line on the bells. See these notes, they just like expand out. Not really sure where they come from, but they just begin to envelop the entirety of the sound. Or song, like sound. Just running together. So this is actually a lot like Disc 2 Side A, where it almost feels like each of the parts are going to be individual tracks. It has the same energy as synthwave, but it's very different timbres on the instruments. Because of the multi-octave arpeggiation, it reminds me of the Final Fantasy theme. It almost feels like it's the same key too. Lots of opportunity for expansion. Possibility might be a good term to describe what's going on here. Yeah, once again, the drums really shining through here. We're returning back to a high reverb style of production. So bringing back the instrument that played the arpeggiation in the last section, it is still doing rising and falling riffs, but not an arpeggio. But we also have the horizontal movements alongside the vertical pitch one. All of this under this guitar solo. We gotta get through it. What's on the other side? I'm sold infinitely more already.
And you talk just like a friend. Don't look back and say it's over, 'cause the truth was in your eyes, and nothing suits me. It's all just mellow and gray.
A little bit of Porcupine Tree on that uplift. Very Steven Wilson.
But the truth was in your eyes. I think it's over. But the truth was in your eyes. In the dark, you'll remember what brought it to an end. But in between, I know it's hard to pretend that we try to do our best.
I think the first half of this song definitely had some areas where I think it could have been better paced. But I could really use some variation on this idea right now.
And are you traveling now? And did you find yourself and what you need?
I mean, it's a great atmosphere. The guitar, the bells maybe in the background, and the vocal melody. let's build on it. We're starting there. Let's keep it going.
Can't believe that it's all over when the feelings grow and the night crawls into the day. And the truth was in your eyes. And still I love you. And the truth was in your eyes.
Yeah, beautiful. Like staring up at the sky at night. A little bit of the joy, the expansive vastness, but a little feeling of how small we are in that. The duet here between the legato violin and the shorter notes on the guitar. Wonderful little conversation they're having. And bells off on the side. A little bit of an energy build up here. All of that subtle build up just to explode at the end. Interesting choice. Part of me wonders why we didn't do the explosion earlier. A lot of competing rhythms here. heavily compressed vocals here to wrap this up. What does this remind me of? A little bit of Tame Impala, I think. Also, Sufjan Stevens. Really? Dude, that's a lot of bass. So much clipping. I'm not a fan of that. The reverse attack, too, where you start out quiet and bring it up, but like rapid. Yeah. I've generally been receptive to this track, but I think this is not a strong ending for me in particular. It's a long fade out on it, too. Somber, darkly beautiful. Okay. I'm not going to say I disliked this, but I will say of the two sides that I've heard from GIANTSKY, side A off of their second album is a much stronger win for me, which is usually a good thing. Means as a band you're growing, but I'm also judging based off of two tracks. There's six in total, so I really haven't listened to a lot of music from this group. But again, what I have heard, this is kind of weak. And I don't mean that it's weak in that the music isn't good. I think there are a lot of solid ideas in here. It's just it's a bit too disconnected. And the things that are connected go on for way too long. Let me hit on some positives first, though. This suite of songs is really catchy. I love how it's this pop prog aesthetic, bringing in exceptionally palatable sounds with a more progressive style of composition. There are still what feels like verses and choruses throughout here, but then we also have these extended interludes. We have these, multi-minute, 5, 6, 7 minute instrumental bits. We have dense layering, we have polyrhythms, we have counterpoint. It's it's very progressive in how it's written, but it comes through at the end of the day when you listen to the melodies, when you listen to the vocals, when you listen to the production, when you listen to the chords. It's all very poppy. It's progressive rock through a pop rock lens, and I am a huge fan of that. I think they do a great job at crafting this, and I pretty much said the same thing when we checked out their other track. They also have some great, gorgeous melodies on this all over the place, whether it is vocal melodies and sometimes the harmonies too. There are some places where we have multiple vocal lines singing the same thing but at different pitches, and the chords are just so good. You can just melt into the lushness of the vocal stacks. But there's also other melodies, guitar licks, guitar lines, linear guitar melodies in solos, everything that is a bit more on the storytelling side of things. Most of this stuff is just fantastic. There's so many moments in here where I'm just listening to the lead melody, just falling for it. Fantastic stuff. I'd like to push this over to another instrument that I found did a great job at um working within this suite of songs is the drums. There's a lot of variety on the drums, whether they're super light and sparse or a bit more heavy and dense, moving from very cookie cutter, sitting in the pocket and just being that metronome, or more dynamic, expressive drum patterns. They have a lot of width to showcase, and I think it works great at not only just directing the songs, but being this other component to it. There's so much weight put on the harmonic and melodic. It's very difficult to get to any portion of this song and not really be swept away by melodies and chords. To me, it's really the heartbeat of the song. But the drums, they do just as much to build the atmosphere, to craft the feeling, and the sometimes even the emotional weight based off of rhythm and speed and groove and stuff like this. They're quite important to everything. I do think they're mixed interestingly in some places. Um, it's tough to call, especially once you get to the mixing phase. It's really easy to get too close to the material, and you end up nothing ever sounds good. You tweak this, that sounds terrible. You tweak it back down where it was. Oh dang, that sounds terrible now too. How did that happen? I put it back the way it was. I totally get it, man. I hate the mixing phase so much. But there are some places where I feel like the drums are just a hair bit too loud. Other places where I feel like they're just a hair bit under. Nothing that I think distracts, but certainly things I picked up on a first time listen. But otherwise, I really like what the drums are doing, and I get that they have to fight in the mix too because there's so much else going on. This is an extremely lush production. The word I used earlier for the vocal stacks, yeah, I think it's applicable everywhere here. It is it is a song that's just consistently focusing on layer density, creating space, carving out slots for all of this, all the instrumentation to exist where you can still hear it. It's not stepping on anyone else's toes, but each of these layers can also be incredibly dense too. There was a portion in the, geez, like 9 to 12 minute range, somewhere in there. The drums, they're doing this like melodic, expressive playing. There's some vocals in here. There's a guitar that's doing something slightly melodic. There's a piano that's doing this rising and falling idea. And it's not just rising and falling, it's also going from left to right. And there's little like twinkling, sparkling stuff on the outside as a synthesizer. And there's a bass in there too somewhere. There's vocal stacks. I mean, it's just, there's so many moving parts on harmony, on melody. And then there's the drums. They're taking care of all the rhythmic element. They got to fight for that. But it's also because of all of these things that I think production is so important here to make sure that there is room for all of these instruments, that they're not competing for space, that they're not competing for pitched space, to make sure that, whether they're super high pitched or super low pitched or somewhere in the middle, that there's room for them within those pitches. That's both compositional and production as you start getting into EQ and carving out space for specific instruments there. But then you also have to carve out space on the horizontal range too. Should I make this thing left pan? Should I make it right pan? Should I put it in a center? Should I make it a bit more of a surround sound where it sits on the outsides? There's a lot of choices in here, and when you have so many instruments, it becomes difficult to make sure that everything has a space. And I think this song does a fantastic job of ensuring that 99% of the time. There were a couple places where it got a little muddy. One time when it got muddy intentionally, I think we started clipping towards the end. What was that, like minute 20, 21? Was not a big fan of that. But at least that seemed intentional. For the most part, though, the producer of this definitely deserves a raise. If it wasn't for them, this would be a chaotic mess. And instead, it is consistently just gorgeous and lush and beautiful and well balanced in every facet. The production is just amazing, and it is what keeps me coming back to it, alongside the memorable melodies and, again, the harmonies that you can just melt into. It is just fantastic. Now, atmosphere is really important to this too. Many of these sections have some sort of positive vibe to them. There is sometimes negativity worked in, but opportunity or possibility, I think, was a term I used for the beginning. Lush is a description I've had of this song. Um, Hopeful, I think, shines through in quite a few places. There's a vastness, a feeling of awe in here. It's consistently focused on the more positive side of things. And I think it does a great job of continuing to find new ways to explore these positive feelings. Um, Across a plethora of instruments too. It allows for a bit of duality in some places where one instrument will be very clearly a bit of, a vastness, awesome, small, large in scope, feeling small in a large place kind of feeling. And another instrument will be bringing in a sense of, joy and beauty. And you get the two of these combined to be in an area that it makes you feel so small, but is also so gorgeous that you can't help but have, just tears run down your face. But while still feeling so small in the scheme of things. Bringing in those multifaceted emotional aspects to this track. So there's a few atmospheres too, and I have a tough time bringing them all together. I had the same problem when we checked out GIANTSKY's 2 side A. Oh, and you know what? I'm remembering something about that too. This is a fringe case. I gotta check this out though, because Giant Side 2 wasn't actually just one track. It was three or four? I don't remember. But on Spotify, for whatever reason, the artist releases it as a single side. And that's why there's the hard stops in here. So it wouldn't surprise me if we have three or four tracks on this too. And that brings up an interesting question as far as special selection goes. But that's something I'm going to have to figure out on my own time and is outside the scope of the conversation of this song. But I wonder if that's why maybe I'm not supposed to understand this as 23 minutes of continuous music that is supposed to be understood within the context of each other. Because that didn't work last time either. and we ended up looking at a few different songs worth of lyrics. And they all had their own ideas and musical concepts to them too. And maybe that's why there's so many emotional concepts on this suite, is because it is a lot of different songs. And see, this kind of goes into my negative aspect here. Not all of this really works together. We have three, I think, really hard stops between tracks, between movements. I'll put it that way. We'll check later if they are different tracks. But it doesn't really work listening to them all together. Not trying to view them all as a single, because they're all going for very different ideas, different instrumentation, different vibes. But the other thing that doesn't work for me, and I think is more important because this is definitely a part of this song, is length. There are too many places in here where the melody is gorgeous. Yes, the atmosphere is dense and lush. Yes, everything is written well. We just go on for far too long. The melody begins to sort of lose its way. It's just filling space now. The atmosphere alone would be too little. We need the melody here. We need the solo part. So we'll put one here, but it kind of finished what it needed to say about 16 bars back, and it's still rambling here at this point. And trust me, I can spot when things are rambling. I have a lot of experience with it. I try to keep my things more concise these days. I fail at it quite often too. And musically, honestly, I have a tough time keeping things constrained in my music too. So I get it. But then we also have sections with no melody, and they're build up, right? We're trying to get from a minimal point to a maximal point. And I feel like in these, it just takes way too long to get through the growth. I feel like we could do, scrunch it down, man. Add a new one, a new layer every 4 bars instead of 8, or add two every 8 bars, or if we're doing a gradual tempo or a gradual pitch increase, how about instead of a 32 bar increase, how about we do a 16? Just start cutting things in half. Because there were multiple times that all I thought was, I get it. Where does this go though? And at that point, I am lost. Not that I'm confused in what's happening, I'm just not really engaged with the song anymore. I'm just sitting there waiting for that next point of engagement to happen. And I think generally, and this isn't even a thing for the entire 23-minute experience, even if we just chop things up to where the harsh stops come in and we look at these 4 individual movements, I think even within them, there are multiple places where the pacing just isn't that great. And I don't remember bringing up pacing too much on the second album's side A. I think I mentioned it about the middle third. I think that one could have tightened up a little bit, but the other two movements on it were fine, if I remember correctly. This one, it's a consistent problem though. And that tells me that the composer or the artist or the band, whoever is in charge of making the music, whether it's a singular vision, or maybe a group project, that they might have seen this on their own, or maybe they saw it in reviews and took it to heart, and for whatever reason though, they've tightened up their pacing, and I think that's excellent because I greatly enjoyed side A of their second album a lot more than this one. And the thing is, again, it's not that this has bad ideas in it. Some of the ideas just take too long to do what they're trying to do. The music is consistently solid, but if it were 6 minutes shorter, I think it would be a much tighter, like laser focused experience that does what it needs to do and gets out before it gets tiring. But honestly, like I said, I think that issue, if you want to call it an issue, it's also my opinion. It's not an objective view on this. You might listen to this and think it's expertly paced. And maybe you think their second album is way too fast. They should slow it down a little bit. I mean, it's all subjective. It's all art. But I mean that's like I said, I spent way too much time just thinking, when do we move on from here? And see, now I'm rambling. I need to get off this topic. I recognize it. Let's go. Let me hit some lyrics on this and see what's going on there. All right, this is split up into 3 tracks, with one track actually being 6 movements. The first, I don't know, 12 or so minutes of this is a track called The Further We Go, The Deeper It Gets, parts 1 through 6. Now, I don't remember 6 distinct parts in here. In the first 12 minutes, I think there were 2 distinct parts. It's probably how I would break that up. But again, that's based off of really hard stops. One thing fades out, silence, another thing fades in. Now, I have no idea what's going on with the lyrics here, though. There are some very cool lines. I like the chorus. It says, there's a way to get out, and I was the blinded one. And the way it spoke to me, and within me, the way it spoke to me, it's a treason. I like that. Being blinded, thinking that someone is acting or speaking in your best interest only to find out that they've been undermining you the entire time. The way they spoke to me, it's a treason. I don't know, something about those 2 specific lines. It's not that it was treason, it's a treason, as if to say that this is only one of many. So I really like that. But everything else is very surreal. It says the way you talk to me underwater, take what you want, just bring it back home again. Reasons why that we tag along. Maybe I'll be moving on and you'll pretend to taste it all, just fading. I don't know. There is one part at the beginning though. It says, would you like to believe in what I have seen? Through the window I look to the waters beneath. Every step they take, every move we make. It's so surreal. And of course, as I'm reading those lines, every step they take, every move we make, it's so surreal. I don't know if that was intentional, but dang, it's not the right words, but it is the right, like 70% of words. And I don't remember how it was sung in the song, though. I don't remember hearing this melody in the song. But yeah, what does that have to mean, though? You've seen things through a window beneath the water, things that are surreal because they take steps underneath. It says, falling down, there are too many morons to heal. In the secret, in the silence lies the secret. Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. It's going right over my head. There's too much figurative language and surreal imagery for me to grasp this one. Now, the second movement or track is called Broken Stone. This seems to be a breakup song. It says, don't look back. It was golden. And you talk just like a friend. It's over because the truth was in your eyes, and nothing soothes me. It's all just mellow and gray. I think it's over. Now, in between a lot of these lines is the truth was in your eyes. It shows up so often in here, I didn't want to continue to repeat myself. But being able to get the information so clearly, this person wouldn't tell you that they're done with the relationship, but you could tell. Something about their eyes, maybe they were looking dead, maybe they were looking sad. They just weren't them. They lost that glint, that positivity, that passion. You can tell just by looking into their eyes, which, of course, oftentimes in history has been alluded to. What do they call it? To peer into someone's soul. You can do that through their eyes. Now, the second stanza says, in the dark you'll remember what brought it to an end, but in between I know it's hard to pretend that we tried to do our best. I remember the truth in your eyes. Are you traveling now? Did you find yourself? They've split up at this point, and she is, well, I think it's he actually, male vocals at this point in the song. Anyways, the vocalist is saying, hey, you left me, but you're going to regret it. In the dark of the night, you're just going to be lying in bed and you're going to start crying. and it'll be because you miss me. And then there's a little bit of sarcastic bite here. Are you traveling now? Did you find yourself? You said that you just weren't yourself. You had to figure out who you were, and that's why you left. Well, have you done that? Yeah? But it takes a little twist here at the end. It says, I can't believe it's all over. The truth was in your eyes, but I still love you. True love, take cover. It's now, it's never. Do you see it? Can you feel it? As much pain as this person has over the other, they still love them. The idea of taking cover is typically used in battle zones in order to, get out of the way of incoming fire. It takes me back to another classic song, Love is a Battlefield. This whole thing's been about love, and out of nowhere says, take cover. But I don't know about the rest of it. It's now and it's never. Do you see it? Can you feel it? I don't know. The final 90 seconds of the track is called Interlude. I don't know what you think of me, but it's wrong. And I don't really have anything to add on there. There's no lyrics, and while the music had beautiful violin solos going on in it, and another dense, lush atmosphere, I don't know that I really picked up any emotion that ties into that. I don't know what you think of me, but it's wrong. So, yeah, that's Giant Sky Side A from Giant Sky 1, the album. Um, Let me know what you thought of this. If there's anything that stood out to you, anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on, if you have any interpretations or perspectives on it, particularly if you had some thoughts about the pacing or the lyrics to that first 12 minutes, I'm particularly keen about those comments. Put all that down there in the comment section alongside any other thoughts you have about this. Um, Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. All right. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.